All right, I'm here with my boy Johnny Signorella on the Life Network. This is Kevin Perry, and Johnny, how you doing?
I'm doing great, brother. How about you?
Oh, I'm doing really good. We're gonna get into a little bit about pretty amazing weekend of boxing. Well, not all boxing. I mean, there was just really one fight to talk about, right?
Zepeda and Baranchyk. Oh my goodness. Let's break this thing down, Kev. This was a slaughterhouse of a fight, as I call it, because those guys went to war.
Oh yeah, I mean those guys really well, I mean, you know how I am. I mean, I'm pretty cheap, so I don't spend a whole lot of money on boxing unless it's like a big fight. And I don't have DAZN anymore. Haven't really been buying too many pay per views, but I decided to dig into the coins I got in my pocket. I paid $6, and I mean, I probably got 100 times worth it for this bout between these two warriors. Into that a little bit, John, on what you thought about that fight.
Those guys were gladiators. You know, when Zepeda went down twice in the first round, I thought this fight was going to be over because I know Baranchek's style. He goes in there, he tries to take you out, he tries to go for the kill. You know, he's got good power. And then, to my surprise, in the second round, Zepeda came out very, very strong and sent Baranchek down, you know, and ultimately going and forward with advanced rounds 3, 4, and 5. And also, we have to consider there's so much to unpack here that Zepeda had also gone down in round 2 and 5. There were so many knockdowns in this thing, Kev. And the one thing that I took away when I was watching it in the second round, I knew it was going to be special. And then as I'm watching it unfold all the way to the completion, which we'll get to in a moment, into the fifth round, I'm like, I've never seen a fight at this weight class quite like this before with so many knockdown exchanges. I think it was official that it was 8 or 10 knockdowns, but there could have been a couple other ones that were supposed to be ruled knockdowns. I want to talk about Kenny Bayless. You know, I don't want to go there. I want to talk about the special excitement that came from this fight. But at the end of the day, man, these guys really, really went hard.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I said before, I mean, if you're a boxing fan and you paid $6, I mean, you really got way more than your money's worth. And I kind of had a feeling. I mean, I just had a gut feeling. I mean, I talked to you earlier in the day, and I was like, I sent you a text message, and I said I'm going to get this, this ESPN Plus fight, or I told you, to definitely check this fight out. And it was kind of obscure match because it's between two contenders. Not a whole lot of promotion or excitement. You know, they didn't fight in front of fans. So I think it was a little bit under the radar. But I think with boxing, and I hate to go into about UFC, but part of the reason why UFC's fights lately have been so exciting and entertaining, at least more than boxing anyways, is because most of them are 50-50 fights with hungry fighters. And this was definitely like an example of that. Two hungry guys just going in there. And I don't think they expected an all-out brawl that they got. But, I mean, I think the fans just got so much. And I think this really kind of pushed, the boxing fan who got a little bit leery because of the whole coronavirus pandemic and everything. And people have been sitting on their hands waiting for some action. And I think this has really brought boxing in the right direction. And this month of October has some great fights coming up, which we'll definitely talk about later. But that was definitely probably one of the best, or at least top 5 best fights in the last 10, 15 years, in my opinion.
Boxing certainly needed this thing. The whole fan fatigue, like Pedro Fernandez always said on Ring Talk Radio, he needed boxing Viagra during certain periods. And I was certainly there. And I hate to compare sports. when we talk about the UFC or even NFL, they're completely different sports, baseball. But in those three sports I mentioned, the marquee players, guess what they did, guys? They come to bat. I'm going to watch the Yankees. You see me wearing this hat right now. The Yankees throw their first pitch in about 5 minutes from now, and I cannot wait to watch the Yankees. They're showing up. In boxing, it's like we kind of get these guys that sign these big contracts, and they're sitting on a lead, and I don't blame them, dude. Like, I get it. But the problem is we haven't seen the big names step up. We haven't seen marquee fights. Last night we had a good one. And Saturday night we had a good one on paper that really delivered with good names. If you're a diehard, like Kevin had said, he knew on paper this was going to be a massive barn burner. And that's what's up. So when I tuned into that thing, again, I was in so much shock and awe of the exchange of knockdowns. Every single time one guy got dropped, within minutes, the other guy got dropped. The guy that got floored got up and then dropped the other guy and floored the other guy. And the other guy got up and he dropped the other guy. There were so many times in a round where there was multiple knockdowns. Both guys went down, I think, in numerous rounds.
I got dizzy.
It was insane.
Yeah. I mean, that was like the and I think Bob Arum was even saying it too. That was another version of George Foreman and Ron Lyle. I mean, it really was.
I compared that to that same fight,
too, like kind of on their way back, also. So and Zepeda had just come off of I think a couple fights back, maybe 3 fights back. He fought Jose Ramirez, who's the WBC champion. I thought he won that fight.
A lot of people did.
This was definitely like a crossroads fight. Basically a huge fight waiting in the looms for either guy, and both guys just really, even without a crowd there, I mean, it was amazing that they didn't even have a crowd behind him. And I mean,
I'm glad you mentioned that. The crowdless, exactly. And there's 2 points I want to get at. You mentioned Ron Lyle and George Foreman, one of the greatest heavyweight fights of all time. Michael Moore, Burt Cooper, but those are heavyweights. They have explosive bombs. So you expect a lot of, if they're throwing high volume, you expect a lot of people to hit the canvas. These guys, Baranchyk and Zepeda, 140 pounds. Oh, my goodness. They were laying it in. And we'll go to the finish, guys, in a moment about that 5th round, which was absolutely incredible. It was, like Kevin said, rock'em sock'em robots, man. Like, it was unbelievable action. And when the 5th round had began, Zepeda looked like, he was a little bit better, even though that Baranchyk had a good round in front of the 5th, and then Baranchyk throws him down, and I'm like, Zepeda's going to be out. This fight's going to be a wrap. And Zepeda gets up. Next thing you know, Baranchyk is on his ass, ice cold, like Marquez Pacquiao style.
Yeah, that was definitely a pretty nasty knockout. I'm trying to pull up this this photo right here. I mean, this was just kind of ridiculous. I mean, yikes.
His leg, when the leg bends over, the knee collapses, and you got your foot under your ass. It's not a good look.
Nah, it was.
There's 2 knockdowns that in boxing are always a concern to me as an observer and also as a former trainer and fighter. When you see someone going face down first, never good. That's a bad one. When you see a knee collapse under, right there, that picture right there.
Yeah, I mean that was pretty pretty ridiculous. I mean, you could see his leg there. I mean, when you go down and you can't even brace your fall, I mean that's when you pretty much got the beat down. You know what I mean? So
my heart stopped. I felt really bad for Baranchyk, and I didn't watch the fight again until I realized that he was going to be medically cleared, which I believe he is. He's doing better. I actually believe Zepeda and Baranchyk had the same hospital room together, especially after a fight like that. I mean, shit, you got to go see a doctor. Um, because when I see things like that, I get very overly concerned. And when I saw him go down, because Kev, let's talk real quick about, we know boxing very well, obviously. That shot that Zepeda landed on Baranchyk in that fifth round would have knocked him down the same way in round 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. But he gets hit with that shot in round 5 after a grueling fight. Damn. Like all the punishment he took, all the knockdowns he suffered, which I think were like 3 or 4 of them prior to that. And then he gets hit with that. Oh my, that's like getting hit by an assassin. He didn't see that shot. You could totally.
That was pretty. That was pretty insane. I kind of want to get to another topic here. Man, but what a fight though. I mean that was something that just really got me pumped about boxing. I was
one of the best fights I've ever seen in my entire life.
I mean it was pretty ridiculous. I kind of want to talk about just briefly a development that's just came up in boxing. Terrence Crawford is going to fight Kell Brook. It's set for December for the WBO 147-pound title. I believe it's December. I might be wrong. It might be November, but we're kind of creeping close to December anyways. So just briefly, what do you think? I mean, do you think that's a good fight, or just give me real quick, maybe 30, 40 seconds on your thoughts about that one?
Well, I love Crawford. Anytime he fights, I love to see him. What do I think about the fight overall? I think Kell Brook is in a lot of trouble here. Plain and simple, Kell had taken a massive amount of punishment over the past couple of years against Earl Spence, Triple G, broken orbital bones, all these type of things that happened to him. I think Crawford is just going to add more mess to his broken face.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely a interesting proposition. But I like Terrence Crawford and I like Kell Brook. I think Kell Brook is a very good opponent. Considering, I mean, you got to be honest here. What other top opponents could he fight? And this is quite possibly the best opponent that he's probably ever faced, especially when you consider, at 147 pounds. So definitely a good top tier opponent for Terrence Crawford. So
it's no secret.
I know a lot of people think that Crawford's just going to blow through him. I mean, I would not be surprised if Kell Brook pulls it off, but it's going to be in the United States. So at least that's my assumption. It's going to be in the U.S. So
it's no secret that Terrence Crawford
have to beat him very decisively or win by knockout. And he's kind of on his way up, and Kell Brook is kind of on his way down, and he hasn't fought at 147 pounds in a while. So definitely from that perspective, you just definitely got to go with Terrence Crawford there. Another fight that's coming up. This one is on Friday. Big fight. Big fight for considering, it's big stakes. WBO featherweight title. It was a title that Shakur Stevenson held. And now Emmanuel Navarrate, he was a 122-pound WBO champion. He faces unknown Ruben Villa for the title on Friday. So Navarrate is a pretty entertaining fighter. Give me some thoughts, John, on that whole thing and how you think that's going to turn out.
I like Navarrete. He's a volume puncher. He's an action fighter, and that's what I love. I mean, my favorite fighters of all time, Evander Holyfield, Arturo guys that just brought, nuts and guts, as they say it. I think it's an easy win for Navarrete. I'm glad that we're starting to see some names surface. Like eventually we'll have the Lomachenko fight against Teofimo Lopez. Those are names, that actually, if you go to a grocery store and say, hey, you ever heard of Lomachenko? Oh, yeah, I heard of that guy. He's going to fight again. That's what I want for my sport. What they did, I'm going to go back to Baranchyk real quick. And also what Zepeda did is they put boxing back in the minds of not only the casuals, not only the diehards, but the hearts of people, because they were watching Sports Center. They were watching what had happened there. You know, this fight, Navarrate, I love him. I think he's one of my favorite fighters to watch because I know he brings the action. This is what we got to do in boxing, guys. We got to bring the action. I call it the action and the passion. I threw that out there. I know it's a little Roy Jones. Like, but that's where I had to go.
Right on. Cool. So, wow. I'm looking forward to that one as well. Anything anything else, John, that you want to add before we get going?
You know, I think there's a couple good fights at the end of the day on the horizon towards the end of the year. That, you know, Earl Spence, Danny Garcia is something that I would have liked, you know, pre-pandemic, during pandemic, post-mortem pandemic. It's an intriguing fight. A lot of people have issues with Danny Garcia. He has a very strong left hook, and he doesn't really focus on his punches when he throws them, if that makes sense, guys. He doesn't really look at his target, but he throws with commitment and conviction, and he tries to get you out. Now, on the flip side, Earl Spence, man, he's taking on a really tough opponent after that crazy car accident. That, guys, believe it or not, that happened about a year ago. And I'm a huge Earl Spence fan. And I think my two favorite fighters right now, if I had to put them out there, is Terrence Crawford and Earl Spence. Wow. What a great fight that would be. But I'd be so conflicted. I can't even go there right now because I don't know who to root for in that fight. I love both of them. But we're going to see what Earl has, you know, after this accident, because that's the genuine curiosity a lot of people have. Like, and it's rightfully so. Like, what did that accident take out of him? And what did the year plus layoff take out of him? And Danny Garcia, in all of his major fights, has failed. And even in some of his not major fights, a lot of people think that he lost, including myself. So it's a very interesting, that's the one on the map for me. Earl Spence, Danny Garcia.
Wow. I mean, you really broke it down there, John. So I guess we're gonna get going, and it's all about the Life Network with Johnny C. And here we go.
I could tell you, go ahead, run it.